Howdy, y'all. The paint's dried. You guessed it. It's Radiator Day. First thing, I'm going to get this radiator core outside. We're going to blow it out really well because I had washed it out, pressure washed it, and all that dirt that was in there is shrunk and it's dried out and it's fallen out. We just want to dust it with a light coating of flat black paint just to kind of offset it and clean up the look. Cumulatively, we have spent the better part of probably, what, a week and a half, 2 weeks, all told, between Dad and I and even my mom, out here picking this and pressure washing it and trying to get it loose. I'd say we're what percentage do we have cleaned up now?
I'd say it's probably 90%. We got a little bit in this corner mainly, and you know, it's probably 90% open.
We're done. I think I'm gonna hit the top of this with my Rodak tool and clean this mating surface up very gently and stay away from these cores. And I think we're gonna flat black it and put it together because it's about as good as it's gonna get. And we're at a point, there's a few places that if we get too rambunctious with it, we're gonna damage something. That looks pretty good. We're gonna get this inside. We've got it cleaned as good as we're gonna get it. It's just for aesthetics anyway, and I'm using a high temp paint. With a light dusting on there, we'll let this cure overnight. We'll put it together tomorrow. Hey kitty, good morning. You may recall the video I did on getting that radiator set up ready to pressure test, and I've got this O-ring here that's going to seal it up in the top radiator, and I'm going to take Wayne's suggestion and we're going to weld just a bolt in here, something that's narrower than that O-ring. I'll just tack weld it in there to keep it in this oblong shape. And then I also picked up this flange bolt that's got more contact area that hopefully will seal a little better around that copper ring there. Now we're rounding up the rest of the bolts that we're going to need. I've got all the radiator parts here, the side panels, the straps that go in between the core and the tanks. I've got brand new cat bolts for the whole bottom. You'll recall when we took this apart, I had to weld those out to get them loose. Those are an OS 1594. Got new gaskets. They are a 2A1165. And I think we're going to silicone it just on the tank. I got to clean up this little bit of overspray on here. On the tanks on both sides, just because it's kind of pitted a little bit. And I think that we'd feel a lot more comfortable around it. We're not going to silicone it where it attaches to the core so that, fingers crossed, if we do have a leak and we have to take this back out, we can just pull the core out, leave the gasket on the tank, and switch it out. Worst case scenario, we do have this other core. Now this one's in excellent shape. It has a ding down there in the corner that we were a little bit concerned about, but this is our second chance, and we have a third chance from the 7J tractor that we got from Montana, Hannah, Montana. So we got that core as well. So hoping 1 out of 3 will work. But I do know the one on 4G had good red antifreeze in it for some reason. And it was full. So I don't know. We'll find out. We are once again at that apprehensive step where we're ready to put it together, but we're not sure we're ready to put it together. That's usually when the cleaner starts picking stuff up around the shop.
When I start cleaning.
Yeah, and I start nervously talking to the camera. I guess this is it. I got blue JB Weld RTV silicone. I like this stuff on other things, so I'm going to put that on here, and then we'll throw our gasket on and bolt it down and put it together. Everything is started here. We're not going to tighten anything up. These bolts here, and the same on the other side, and the same up here at the top are just a little bit longer. And I've got cat bolts for that too. Well, there it is. Dad and I are really happy with the way this looks, and we like the black, and yes, those are Caterpillar bolts. We would do nothing less than Cat. So the look of those black bolts on that yellow paint, this thing looks great. So we're going to let this set and let the silicone kind of cure a little while. I'll come back in a little bit, and then we'll torque it down. And I'm going to go over and work on the top so we can get a pressure test on it. But we're not going to do that today. We're going to let this cure overnight before we pressure test it. Dad wanted to add one thing, that this really went together
very well.
Are we jinxing ourselves?
Well, yeah, maybe we shouldn't say anything.
On second thought, it was horrible. We fought this the whole way, so just forget we said anything. Disregard it.
I'll put it this way. If other things go together as well as this did, I'll be very happy.
Yeah, well, we haven't tested it yet. I just got a couple of plates here. I'm going to tack weld them on here. That'll hold that O-ring in place. Got everything pretty much set to pressure test that radiator. We're going to go over all those bolts, torque them to probably 40, 45, and we'll pressure test it in the morning. You'll be with us for that one. But we got plenty of stuff to do around here to keep us busy. Right now, Dad is taping up the pony motor, and we're going to put some exhaust black paint, high temp paint on that exhaust. I'm working on my water pump folly up on the bench, and we're waiting for a few more parts to finish the fuel pumps and a tool. But I did get one tool for it we'll be using in the future, so thanks again, Wayne. We'll catch back up with you in just a second. Well, good morning. We're back. It's the next day. That silicone's had roughly 24 hours to set. So I think we're ready to try and pressure test this thing. Dad got the exhaust on the pony painted. This looks really good. Got the O-ring in here. Have the gauge on there. We have the regulator up there so we can keep the pressures low. We're probably going to start closer to 8 PSI and go from there. Hey, that's pretty clever. Wonder who thought of that. Okay. You nervous? Mm-hmm. We're both a little nervous. And I got a little gauge on here. I got the gauge over there.
It's going to take a lot of volume.
Yeah. So we hear something, and we're spraying Windex on here to see if we can figure out where. A little bit of bubble action right there, so that's seeping right there, I think.
I don't think your O-ring's leaking.
Could be leaking out of this plug down here, too.
This thing quit, pretty much.
Right there.
There is.
See that bubble right there? There's our big leak right here. See the bubble?
What's it coming out of?
This fitting here.
This wheel is kind of dull.
Yeah, that thing's been around, literally. We're rigging something else up here, and that was the one part I was a little worried that was going to leak, and sure enough, it did. Got this one to use. I just went out to the D4 parts store, and I found this off of the Real McCoy out there. And the guy at the counter there was really nice. All right, we're gonna just leave the fitting on that side. There we go. Got a ferrule, got our fitting on there. Fitting's off the Real McCoy out there, so put this together. Get this in the vise, get the coupler out of here because I need that to adapt to the gauge.
Does it fit nice?
Yep, we're good. We're gonna try this again. And I snugged up a few things on here. All right, are we ready?
I guess.
Bleeds off, so we got a leak somewhere.
Right there, see it?
Oh, yeah. Is our ferrule here leaking?
I don't think so. No. Oh, it's tight.
Yeah, and that's where we're leaking the gauge.
Well, that's part of it, but I think we have a bigger leak.
Found a leak. I think there was so much dirt plugged in there before it was holding it, but that's it. That's our leak. Well, I mean, the pressure test setup was a success. It worked. We got all the other little leaks fixed, and then we were able to find it. So, I guess we're on to plan B. That radiator core right there. Clean it up. Put it on there. What do you think, Dad?
Yeah, well, we have no choice.
Nope, that's where we're at.
No use crying about it. Just get with it and do it.
This is going to be a lot of the same thing that you guys just watched, putting this together. So, we're going to fast forward again. Why are you so happy, Dad?
Well, I rotted every one of these cores, and there's actually 156 of them. Every single one is open.
Yeah,
and
we did not have that luck on 4G's radiator.
Going through these cores between the fins, I'm looking through here. I don't even see any of these plugged either. So,
and it's not. There's no scale or corrosion like on.
No, it's
the only thing that is concerning about this is this right here, where these two cores are bent. Other than that,
I don't think that's a problem either.
You know what? Who wanted to use 4G's original core?
Guess who?
Yeah, Dad. It was me. Inspecting everything, and I noticed something. I think it might have froze and expanded one of these cores. And it's hard to pick up on the camera right there, but let's see if I can point that out. There's actually a crack right below where my bone tool is, and it's kind of expanded that. Now I've looked through these other ones. Everything in this thing is clear, so I'm almost guessing that somebody took this off a machine years ago, probably because it was leaking. So what I'm going to do, I've already marked where that core comes out here on the bottom of the radiator and up here on the top, and I'm going to pinch those cores shut and solder it. I got some solder here. This is old stuff, Spartan solder. And I'm going to just go ahead and solder up that core, plug it up. I don't know what else to do. We do have other radiators we could try, but this one is really clean and in a lot better shape than any other ones we have around here. As a rule of thumb, when I'm working on old stuff, I use old stuff. So the older solder, the formulas in them are a lot better than the modern stuff. I've got the top of this cleaned off, and this is a brass radiator, or copper. cores. And the reason it's silver like this is it's the solder wash that they wipe off after they solder everything. But right now I've got this little needle file, and I'm just going to go inside to this core, kind of rough it up, because I can't really get a brush in there. It's very small, so the solder will stick. I'm going to clean around this too so I can get the solder to stick good. With the brush here, we just double checked and marked the core to make sure that we're doing the right one. And I'm thinking I might try and pinch this closed, but I don't know that there we go. I'm going to take a little punch and a little hammer and just lightly tap this thing the rest of the way closed. All right, go ahead and stand it up. All right. Be careful when you do this not to damage anything else. And when you heat it, you don't want to heat it enough that it releases the solder around the other cores. This one had a chunk of solder right here in the end of this core. I got that pinched off pretty good. Got solder inside of it, I got solder outside of it. Shouldn't go anywhere. We're back together, so we're gonna try it again.
Got a leak someplace.
There's our leak. Cheap gauge. Holding pressure now.
It's dropping off pretty quick, but we got a leak right here in this Schrader valve.
We got one there. Right around our cap right there.
Yeah, our cap's leaking.
This is leaking like a sieve.
Yeah, that's leaking.
This is leaking right here.
No, it ain't.
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is.
This one's still leaking.
That's still leaking. The core is good. We've got leaks on our seams. We got a leak on this bolt. We got a little leak here on our gauge. Our Schrader valve is leaking. And I can hold it at 5 pounds. And with all those leaks,
we're probably going to need to take this apart and silicone the other side of that gasket on there.
Yeah.
6 pounds it's holding?
6 pounds, if I keep 6 pounds. But we've got, look, we got leak out of here, out of the Schrader valve, out of here.
Yep.
We got leaks out of the corners of our tank.
Yep.
And that's it. The center seems to be okay.
Yeah, this core that I soldered out of here, it's fine. The one that was damaged we were concerned about, it's fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these...
It's just our tanks.
A little bit of RTV silicone on this. I'll get the heat gun out, I'll dry everything up. We'll silicone it, put it back together, I guess. This is 3 times now, so I'd rather work on a belt pulley. I guess it's not a question of if we can do it ourselves, it's a question of do we want the frustration? So, the plan now is to silicone the gasket that we have on here. We think part of our problem was also that we've already smashed that brand new gasket. It wasn't leaking on the bottom side where we had already siliconed it. So we're going to put some silicone on it. We're going to loosely put everything together. We're going to let it set overnight. We'll come out in the morning. We'll torque it, and today it's warm. It's touching 80 degrees, so I think it'll cure rather nicely, and then we'll pressure test it again. And I know my pressure test system has some faults, and mostly around that gauge where it threaded in, so we'll give it a try. Got the bottom of it together and got some bolts started. It's all silicone. Dad's filing that. We might have had some paint sprues and things just to make sure the bottom of those uprights are even. I think we're okay, but at this point, any extra precaution we can give this is better. Well, I think we're ready to test it again. It's the next day. Number 3, Grandpa's here, so we don't want Grandpa to think we're idiots.
No.
Well, he should be good luck.
Grandpa is good luck.
Yeah.
He's better than all of us put together as a mechanic. We're coming up.
Oh, it's coming right up.
That's a good
Unlike the previous time.
I wouldn't get too carried away. Well, we're almost to 5. I can't tell you.
6, 7, 8. That's about where I turn the regulator. It might go to, let's go to 9. Let's hold it right there.
It's staying put.
That mark would be 7.5. So,
okay, so
we're right around
7.5.
7 pounds.
Not 9.
Let me go up to that.
I don't want to push it.
We won't. We'll go to 7.5, which is right there. 7.5 pounds.
Cool. All right. We'll let it sit here for a bit and see what it turns out at. We only got a few more things to hang on that engine, and we can put that engine on the tractor. Yeah, it's still there. It hasn't budged.
It's going to leak down some.
Yeah, because these are leaking. But
and remember, this bolt leaked too.
Yeah, if I do this again, all right, when I do this again, we're going to put an O-ring in here. Well, that was a lot of heartache and headache, but we got it done, and everything's good to go. It's holding pressure like a champ, and we're very comfortable with it. I do want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. This is going to be a hot Radiator episode. See, the cat agrees. Huh. Yeah. See what I did there? Hello and welcome to Lefty's Radiator Shop. I'm in the process of taking apart this one. We just pressure tested it and it failed. And over here at Lefty's Radiator Shop, the cleaner is the real star of the show. He's over here rodding out cores on the next one we're going to test and probably have to take out of here. Because here at Lefty's Radiator Shop, we do it right twice. But hopefully not 3 times. But if we do, the 3rd time's a charm.